Thank you, Elizabeth. It's now my pleasure to introduce Mr. Sean Kirst. Sean is a 1981 alumni from our English and journalism programs. He spent the past 27 years career writing for the Syracuse Post-Journal. He's received numerous awards for his work and can be seen on his TEDx talk titled At the Lighthouse, Why I Tell Stories. Please help me welcome Sean Kirst.
Good morning. So I've spent the last couple of days here as part of a writer-in-residence program, and they asked me if I'd speak to accepted students. And I think, and I say this with appreciation, I don't think the administrators completely understood what they were doing or how much this means to me, because this is actually an opportunity. It's one of those rare opportunities you get in life that you never think will come your way. And I am just so glad. These last few days have just been so resonant and powerful for me. And one of these things, it's one of these places where when you walk down corridors, when I stand here, memories explode at you. When I was in school here, Peter Gabriel on this stage, Count Basie, just amazing performers, amazing moments in this auditorium. And I also want to promise you something, and I'll say this for all upstate New York, the spring in Fredonia is magnificent. When this turns, it's a beautiful village, it's a beautiful place, and when the leaves come out, it's spectacular. But my deal is this, I'm from Dunkirk, right down the road. My parents were both orphans, they were factory people. We rented houses, we moved 4 times in 3 years when I was a child. And what I learned is that every time you moved, you had to recreate your own story. Each time you had to reinvent yourself. And as a child, I did not have much sense of value. We were broke, and I did not think of myself as having a lot of worth. I remember laying in my bedroom at night, listening to cars on the state thruway, wondering where people were driving in the middle of the night with complete confidence. Wherever they were going, I would never go. I was sure of that. And I was sure where my road in life would lead. At the age of 18, I came down the road to Fredonia. It was a mile from the house we rented. I used to hitchhike for God knows why. But I would hitchhike to Fredonia State, and I came here and I went to work for the Leader, the student paper, and I went to Fenton Hall. Fenton Hall, which is the great temple in my life. When I walk through there now, I remember the linoleum, I remember the smell, I remember the professors who opened my eyes to Faulkner and to Hemingway, and a professor named Huffman who opened my eyes to a guy named Dos Passos. And John Dos Passos wrote about factory people, regular people leading regular lives, caught up in great events, who were swept out into the world. And one night, God's honest truth, my friends dropped me out in front of the house that I rented, that my family rented in Dunkirk, and instead of getting out and seeing an ordinary house, I got out of that car and I stood at the street at midnight, and I looked at that rental house, and all of a sudden I realized I was part of the river, that I was part of the great story, that my parents were there for reasons of history and economy and industry, and that they had been brought there by great forces, and that I was part of a story. I was part of a great story, and that my story became my rocket. My story became the thing that lifted me up and moved me beyond, and my story began here on this campus. This place changed my life. And I've waited a long time. We live in a society that is screwed up about true value. We put value on treasure. We put value on possessions. What we forget is that value is built on pain and struggle and perseverance, and value comes from your story, and you need to find places that will help you realize your story, and I learned my story here. Not only that, I met my wife at a picnic at Point Gratiot on Lake Erie, right down the road. So think of this. Once you meet the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with, every decision, your children, every moment comes back to that moment when you met her. I met my wife at Fredonia. So my entire life, everything, all the good things that would happen to me, all the places I would go, the Olympics and Barcelona and Super Bowls and Scotland and the Himalayas and all these places I couldn't even dream about, it comes back to a faith they taught me here. So all I can say to all of you is that I see you as family and that I want you to have nothing but good things. And I can say with absolute faith that if you make a decision to go here, all that's going to happen for you is good things at Fredonia. So thanks.